Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Today, we have a couple of amazing CROs who are going to talk about what it takes to drive and predict sales growth. So, I'm Mike Head. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for Impact.com. We're a partnership automation platform connecting brands with creators, affiliates, customer advocates to drive growth. And with that, love to hear an introduction from the three other CROs, starting with Kate.
Hello, everyone. Great to be with you. I'm Kate Allering. I'm Chief Revenue Officer at Calendly. Calendly is a scheduling automation platform. I've been there for about 2 years, and I'm just clearing about 2 decades in this industry that we all know and love so well, high growth tech. So it's great to be with everyone this morning.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Daniel?
Hi, my name is Dan Farkas, and I'm the CRO at a company called Staffbase. We are a communications platform business helping our customers inspire their employees towards the company's key goals. I've been in the business for about 2 years.
Wonderful. Mark?
I'm just going to say that I'm giving everybody on this call so far an A+ on working with marketing on getting their elevator pitch of what your company does, like totally nailed. I don't think I've ever heard 3 CROs in a row do it that well. So that's awesome. But I'm Mark Costaglo. I'm the CRO of Catalyst. And what we do is we're a customer growth platform that helps you increase retention, proactive expansion, and customer advocacy.
Welcome. Love the shout outs to begin. So excited to hear from everyone, have a very dynamic conversation. So, the first one I want to throw out there is we're in a world where there's a lot of data, almost a proliferation of data, which makes it good yet challenging to predict and drive sales growth. So love to hear from you all to talk about your foundation. What are the main KPIs that you're looking at? And what's the cadence or frequency that you're reviewing them with your team? Let's start with you first, Mark.
Yeah, I have a standing Tuesday meeting every Tuesday at 2 p.m. that's called my weekly revenue metrics meeting. And I run an operating model that mirrors what Winning by Design does. And I have a conversion metrics all the way from meeting set all the way through to retention rates. And then I have key metrics along the way, for example, SQMs, which is meeting set, SQOs, which is meetings held, and then the conversion rate between the two, then SQO to SAO and the conversion rate. And I look at each stage of that funnel every single week, and we look at how we're trending, and we decide, do we have a problem if there's something going down, or do we have a blip? Blips can be ignored. Problems need a program put in place to solve them. So I probably look at, I'm going to guess between the counting metric and the conversion metric, probably 15 to 20 metrics in that meeting every single week that help run the business and let me know like what levers do I have to pull to increase productivity.
Wonderful. Yeah, I do like the concept of the blip. So we're not always overreacting to certain things that we see. How about you, Kate?
Yeah, similar to Mark, I spend a good portion of my week either looking at data, discussing data, trying to get more data. So it's become, I think, a fundamental part of being a CRO or really a sales leader, period. I think it's somewhat dependent on your strategy as a business and where you're at and what you're hoping to achieve in any given period of time. And so if you're very, very focused on new business, I think as Mark covered, you're spending a lot of time on the funnel. How many leads are coming in, what's the conversion of those leads, and what is coming out on at the bottom of the funnel in terms of revenue and ARR. There are other ways to think about this. You can, as you're thinking holistically around the business, what is your growth month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year? What are the drivers of that growth? I always joke that somehow RevOps has transformed my brain into just thinking of drivers in a spreadsheet. And when you build a sales plan on an annual basis, there's all these building blocks that go into it, including all the way down to the funnel, like just the core number of leads, up to the conversion rates, up to the average deal sizes, how many deals you're going to have, how many sales reps you have. And so all of those things sort of stack in my brain as the drivers of the business. And whatever is leading you to the ultimate goal for the year or for the quarter, making sure that you're going and inspecting those drivers very regularly, and you can understand, why you beat or why you miss very clearly and very easily based on the instrumentation in your business. So it kind of depends on, what you're thinking about and what stage of a business you have, but certainly data is the foundation of, a sales org for sure, and a big part of the CRO's job.
Yeah, good observation or call out around the maturity of the business and how the different types of the metrics will evolve as the business matures. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, so similar to Mark, we're also looking at the winning by design SPICE methodology and the bow tie, the revenue as a science, which I really, really like. I like the way it's structured. So similar to that business, we're looking at similar metrics. I would say every week, on Monday morning, I review our forecast figures, sales, churn, pipeline, NRR, how is that evolving? I'll look at performance metrics around sales velocity, kind of win rates, deal sizes, and how that's evolving. Although doing that every week, you get a bit of a sense of what's going on. We got sort of rolling figures over the last 6 months, so you don't get that variability in the figures every week, but you can start seeing sort of where we potentially be looking at problems coming our way. So it's nice to break it down. I then run a forecast goal globally, so we kind of break down what's going to be happening towards the end of the quarter and the quarter after. There are some metrics which I'm really kind of spending more time on, which I usually drill into, which is where we generate demand and performance of our sort of pipeline initiatives, particularly expansion pipeline, given the economy we're in, where we're seeing customers wanting to spend more or not wanting to spend more is an indication of them seeing the value in the product and how we can grow that further. So that's the one which I would usually kind of keep breaking down throughout the week and understand kind of each kind of area where we have an opportunity to do more with our customers and bring value. Example of this would be time to value, which I'm kind of landing on as one of the metrics which we have not historically spent enough time on, but I want to spend more time on now, like how quickly customers get to the first point where they get value. Because from then on, you get a lot of interesting metrics coming out, like your win rates with customers are much higher than on that new business and so on. So it actually affects the rest of the business performance. So it's basically Monday, check on the usual figures, so if I would say hygiene figures, and then drilling throughout the week on things that you can turn into programs and improvements throughout.
Very nice. So we had 2 call outs to winning by design metrics, and we'll highlight, your call out on time to value, and especially customers in their first 90 days, the importance of making sure that they're getting value from you. So let's move on to another, hot topic, which is ICP, or ideal customer profile, and really honing in and using a data-driven metrics to identify, your best fit customers. And so we'd love to hear from you all how you're thinking about that, how you're using data, and just your general strategies around making sure you're going after your best fit customers. Daniel, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm starting to see more and more focus on the ideal customer profile. If you asked me about maybe 6 to 12 months ago, I would say, well, these are the verticals, this is the size of the company, I'll be pretty much done with it. And I thought that was all I needed to know. But I'm starting to see different behaviors happening in what I call micro segments, where I start looking at geographies, I look at the verticals, I look at the company sizes, and I'm actually starting to look at where we have certain potential, certain TAM in that micro segment, but also where we have momentum. So I'm ex-consulting, so I broke it into the usual 2x2, and I'm looking at this is my momentum, this is my opportunity or potential, and obviously I go after with the high potential and big momentum. That's where I can generate the business tomorrow. Now this model though has a big gap, and that is that we won't usually have a lot of data points. We're still a scale up business, and you might not have enough data points showing the big picture. So sometimes you might be undervaluing certain micro segments because you don't have the data. And in some cases, we might have been doing things over and over again because it just feels it works, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's no potential in the other segment. So I've basically carved out certain A/B hypotheses around, well, there could be other micro segments we could be doing. I don't know, like let's say government, which we have not historically sold to, but we have not done it because it's harder, because of like maybe more compliance needs, more requirements on certificates, and so on and so on. But that doesn't mean that segment is not interesting. But we need to dedicate some focus and go and test it out. So I'm basically saying, let's put aside, a couple micro segments where we're gonna go and try something new positioning, maybe new security attached to the page, which is slightly different, and see what happens. And so we go and keep, testing new areas. So yeah, that's probably me.
Nice. A lot of thoughtfulness going into that. Sounds like a lot of opportunity.
A lot of time.
Yeah. Kate, many of us do know, Calendly, and, know that you're moving and focusing more on the enterprise. So can you talk us through, how you're thinking through that and how you're using data?
Yeah, absolutely. We, to our great benefit, have loads and loads of product data that helps inform our intent models. And, at our scale and maturity, we just have, this wealth of information that comes our way, which is really great. But I think, as I think about it in terms of the framework we use, often we pair firmographic information. So, company size, geography, many of the things Dan was just mentioning. There's technographic data that's available to us now. So what systems are they using? What's their sales stack look like? And what does that tell us about their propensity to buy? And then we have all of this great product intent data. So what are they actually doing inside Calendly? Who are they doing it with? When are they doing it? All of those sorts of things. Are they using integrations? Those are great signals for us. And I think about, you put all that data kind of in this melting pot of, a quantitative algorithm melting pot, and out comes a propensity to buy score for us. And so that's how we think about the world and intent. The thing that I guess I would add to it that, all three of us neglected to mention in the data portion of this is, I'm sure all three of us are spending a good portion of our day thinking about efficiency right now, and how we can sell and service more effectively and efficiently with the resources that we have. And so we're not only looking at things like the cost to acquire that particular customer, even if they're in our ICP, but we're going all the way through the life cycle of that customer to say, what are the rates that these types of customers retain at, and is that more efficient for us? And so we're starting to think about the full life cycle. I don't think 2 years ago we were thinking much about the ability to retain beyond just basic net value retention metrics, but now that's all kind of going into the calculation of how we spend the front end of the cycle time to make sure that it's as effective and efficient as possible.
Yeah, the world has changed a lot over the last 5 years, and the growth at all costs has now moved into the efficient bookings. So good highlight and good call out there. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing anything differently than Daniel and Kate in selecting ICP accounts. I just want easily accessible public information around technographic and firmographic data, and then I want to push that against what my current good-looking customers look like and run a filter. I mean, it's like 10-minute RevOps exercise there. I think the key though comes in how you execute against that list. So at Catalyst, I created a list of about 3,500 accounts that should get us, our next $10 million of revenue. Knowing that the data sources are only about 2/3 accurate, that gives me probably about 2,500 actual accounts in there that I can work with. And those are the only accounts that I put in the name of AEs and SDRs. There's no other universe other than those accounts. Anything that marketing goes after that comes in inbound, we have a separate, system and process that we run through that, so that we're not creating, misguided focus. And then we just make people work their book of business. And, you telling me that account is DQ'd because you called them 3 times, that's not a DQ in my book. You need to call them about 300 more times, and then we can start talking about why it might be a DQ. But I just limit a rep's universe to the accounts I want them to work, and they're not allowed to work outside that universe. That to me is the key. You can create the universe a million different ways, but if people are living outside the universe, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, good call out. Focus and making sure your team is going after the best fit accounts, and the execution incredibly important. So, Kate, you highlighted how the world has changed and efficiencies, and with that, there is more of a focus on existing customers, expansion of existing customers, mitigating churn. So, we'd love to hear from you. How you're thinking about those strategies to drive revenue growth.
Yeah, for existing customers, we look at a bunch of different data and we have a bunch of different strategies to help us basically predict churn and direct the activities of our team. This includes everything from analyzing customer usage patterns, the way they adopt, again, how they're using the tool, product feedback that's coming through a number of different channels, our customer support interactions. And if you think about, Calendly, we just have millions and millions and millions of users. So there's all these micro bits of information and data coming through all the time on these customers. And so our challenge is how do we, again, gather those in a way that is efficient and can be impactful for our teams to actually use to drive insights back to their customers, because, data can just become noisy at some point. But we're looking at all of those different categories of things to say, where should our team be directing their attention, not just on churn prevention, but, where is the propensity to grow here? And how should we think about what the size of the prize in those accounts could be? And how do we align those accounts, to Mark's point, in the right way to our teams? And so we're thinking through all of that as it relates to customer interactions. And then just how do we allow customers to interact with us really easily and effectively? And that's, at least in some small part, what Calendly is hoping to help with in the world, but just making access much, much more effortless and seamless for our customers is a big part of our customer expansion strategy too.
Sure. Efficiency and engagement and easy customer experience is something we're all thinking through. Mark, this is definitely in your wheelhouse, so would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so I think that there's two major causes of change or of churn. One of them is your champions leaving, and the other one is you're just not being proactive about churn mitigation. Everything in your life is reactive. And the analogy I like to use is most post-sales organizations are trying to put out a fire at a tree, and they're looking over at the trees next to them in the forest and seeing they're smoking, but they're so scared to leave the tree on fire that by the time they put that fire out, the trees that were smoking are now burning. And unfortunately, the only way to stop a forest fire is with a fire break, which means a few trees have to burn. And I think a lot of revenue leaders need to figure out which trees can burn. At Catalyst, we have something called a savability score. And that lets us know, can we actually save this account or not? If we can't save it, we don't put in the effort to save it. And that lets us burn a few trees to save a few trees that can be saved. And so I think that the main thing that you need to do in order to mitigate churn is you have to be proactive about it. Now, there's a few ways to do that. One way is like kind of what Kate said, where you have like a bunch of data and there's a prediction or a health score that kind of points you to dangerous customers. The other way is we have to, as an industry, a SaaS industry, change how we do value creation. Right now, we have a totally incorrect way that we create value for customers that is against human behavioral science. And the way that it works is there's a huge uptick in value creation right after we do deployment. And then we breathe a sigh of relief as a company and nothing else happens for 9 months. And then we wonder why when renewal comes around and the customer says, what have you done for me lately? We don't have any answers and the renewal's at risk. We have to stop that plateauing of value with a huge up curve. And we need to start doing stair steps and little bits of value sprints all throughout the customer lifecycle. We can never stop creating a recurring value, a recurring impact. Because as Daniel knows, as a WBD acolyte, recurring revenue follows recurring impact. And if we're not have a system to create recurring impact, we will not reap the benefits of recurring revenue, which is known as churn.
Yeah, good call out. There's the always be closing, always be delivering, right? And make sure that we're always delivering for customers. Daniel, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think coming after Mark and Kate, I think most of what I would have said has been said, and I love Mark, like 100% spot on. I agree with you. It's about the unlock of the value early in the game. I mentioned the time to value earlier as one of the key indicators, which I'm looking at right now, because it does predict our opportunity to upsell the customer, like maybe sometimes even within the first year of the contract, but also it puts clear indication to whether the customer is going to churn. Because obviously what we're trying to do is to close multi-year deals with customers. So we have time to spend time together and unlock more and more value. But it does not mean that we now have, let's say, 3 years to get the customer deployed. We still have just the first couple of months to get the customer out there and get the value on the table. And from then on, we keep increasing the value period of time, but they can't be sitting around for a very long time, not seeing anything coming out of the investment. So that's a very often the misconception in the market. So I'm looking at this as one of the key indicators to get more pipeline, but also to get the customers truly successful to what I would call is moving away from just customer success to customer evangelism, where they go out in the market and talk about you as this is the vendor that partnered with us to achieve certain business goals. So I 100% agree with Mark that as an industry, as SaaS, we have a way to go of helping unlock the customers the value. We're pretty good at positioning it when we sell. We're not as good as actually delivering it. And I'm not talking about one company, I'm talking about, I think, as an industry, and measure and track that it's been delivered and position it throughout the life cycle of the customer. Very often, churning customers could be customers who do pretty well according to your customer success team. The only problem is that they don't see themselves that way. Like executives are not engaged, people who paid for it are not seeing the value, they don't even know what's going on. They come to a renewal and suddenly you got a churn on your hands and you don't know where it came from. So it's around measuring it, but also explaining it to the right people at the right time. And I think that's the bit we need to be spending more time on. And yeah, that's where I'm spending time on. So yeah, I'll pause it here.
Yeah, ensuring we're delivering value, and in a world of efficiency and with the proliferation of SaaS tools, making sure that we don't end up on that list of vendors to cut is really important for everyone. So we are now getting close to time. So I think what we're going to wrap it up with is what you're most looking forward to as you look into the next year. Daniel, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so what I'm looking forward to is I think every sort of market situation like we're in right now offers an opportunity to also do better, right? Like it's tough on all CROs everywhere because yes, customers are not standing there with an open wallet to spend more money on software. That's the last thing they want to do. They probably want to optimize more, but it also puts pressure on exactly what we just discussed, which is the value and how you position yourself. So I think the strong companies will come out of it healthy. And what I'm looking forward to is continue fine-tuning the go-to-market engine to be even more convinced of the value you can give to customers every day. We've got a lot of exciting products coming out, plans for making it happen. There's discussion about, SPICE methodology, winning by design. I'm really excited about putting it into place and getting us to the next level. And if you ask me at the end of this year or next year, I'll say the same. I want to go to the next level again, but that's how we should be going.
Continuous growth. Mark?
That's right.
I am very much looking forward for economic headwinds to become economic tailwinds. Can I say that? Like, I don't have any. Listen, I think that one thing that I'm hoping happens, and I'm optimistically looking forward to next year, is that revenue leaders that have traditional sales backgrounds starting to really understand the post-sales process and the power of the SaaS business model, which says that you have to take care of your customers, retain and grow them, and that there's true impact there for your company, rather than continuing the old ways of just telling marketing you need more leads and dumping 90% of their time and effort into top of funnel activities, which right now are not generating the same level of ROI as they have been in the past. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. As a transformation of the revenue leader right now, that a few people, it sounds like Kate, is on the bleeding edge of. But I think that the vast majority of people in our roles rely on their sales comfortability in order to solve their growth problems. And I think that that's going to be a real downfall for a lot of revenue leaders.
Agreed. Kate?
I'll end us on everybody's favorite topic, AI. I'm excited about the potential of AI. I think we are just scratching the surface as revenue leaders of how to unlock value and productivity using some of these tools. There's these basic use cases thus far, but really, how do we heighten the experience for our customers, for our employees, unlock efficiency through some of these tools? Calendly has a bunch of AI features that will be coming out in 2024 that I think are exciting, that our team is in beta with at the moment. And so, how we actually implement these strategies in a way that's not just, hey, that's cool and nice to have, but actually creates better experiences, not just for customers, but for our employees as well. I'm excited to see how that evolves.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for bringing up AI. We probably could have spent, a whole hour talking about that as a
30
group.
minutes about mentioning it, I had to throw it in.
Yeah,
I was
appreciate it.
it's but it's a great topic.
For me, I'm excited about the strength that we can build with our teams. Hard times, I think, create stronger teams. They're causing us to really rethink everything we're doing across the board. So I'm excited to see us, come out of these more challenging times, and hopefully, with Mark, agree that we do get some economic tailwinds sooner than later. So with that, want to give a big thanks to the audience for listening to us, and a thank you to the esteemed panelists for providing their thoughts and insights in how to drive and deliver predictable sales growth.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone.